Let's date forever. Here's your weekly dose of relationship fuel with Sammi and Nathan Jaeger. Hello and welcome to Date Forever. In this week's episode, we're diving into our fourth tank in the Fueled Up Life framework, which is humming household. But before we dive into that, Sammi, what's been fueling you up this week?
I am a triathlete.
How cool is that?
Yes, this week I finished my very first triathlon.
Yeah, really amazing to watch you do it and see how you've gone over the last few months as well as you've been training really hard for this. So.
Yeah, I've been focused on training the last maybe 11, 12 weeks. And then this weekend we went away and I did a triathlon.
Yeah.
It felt incredibly rewarding because my journey to running again, I used to be a runner and then I had an injury and then I felt like I had tried everything to recover from that injury and just it wasn't working. But then about, I don't know, maybe 18 months or so ago, I started working with a chiropractor who helped me get some things back where they needed to be. And then mid last year, I started running again. And then after 6 or so months consecutive running with no issues, I thought, gosh, I've always wanted to do a triathlon. Maybe now's the time. So I trained and I did it.
Yeah, how good.
So I did a sprint distance, which is 750 meter swim, 20 kilometer bike ride, and then finish on a 5K run. So now I'm wondering whether or not I set my sights on a standard triathlon, which is double all of those things.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But yeah, it really did fuel me up because it was not just the triathlon, it was all of the things that it took for me to be able to do that in my body. So I feel very grateful. I feel very proud. And I am so thankful for you, Nath. You were so supportive while training, while teaching me about bikes. That was probably the biggest thing. You did a lot of coaching in the bike leg and then just being there on the day to encourage and cheer and support me. So thank you for helping me achieve that goal.
Oh, no worries.
What about you? What fueled you up?
Well, what fueled me up was seeing you complete your triathlon. I know that this has been something you've been working towards for such a long time. And like you said, in your whole running journey and things like that too, like in your whole recovery. So it really did fuel me up to see your success and to see, how much you've grown and improved and how much better you've got at all three sports, I guess, over the last few months. So just seeing you and watching on the day and seeing you start and finish your swim and start and finish your ride and start and finish your run. Yeah, it was really impressive.
Thanks, babe.
No worries.
All right, so this week's episode, so as Nate said, we're continuing our Fueled Up Life mini-series. So we're doing a deep dive into the 8 different fuel tanks that make up a Fueled Up Life. So we've already done 1, 2, and 3, and today will be episode 4 in this mini-series, but we're going to recap for you. So the first fuel tank is your self tank. Your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship that you have.
And the second tank is your romantic relationship.
The third tank is your relationships and wider network.
The fourth one is humming household, which is the one we're diving into now.
The fifth tank is your career and business.
The sixth one is wealth and lifestyle.
The seventh is the world.
And the final one is the future.
So today we're going to be talking all about a humming household. And this tank came about because Nathan and I used to be really bad at this. And what we kind of think of is a humming household is just learning to run your home life without it consuming all of you and all of your time, money, and energy. And the thinking goes that if you can solve some of the smaller problems that happen in all of the everyday grind of running a household, then you can focus that energy on other things.
Yeah. And this was definitely happening for us. Like a lot of the workings of our household were consuming a lot of time, money, energy, thought, like all of those sorts of things. And so this is something that we've incrementally kind of grown over the past 15 years of our relationship, but we're always kind of looking out for those little level ups that help us make our household run a lot smoother.
Yeah, so the first part of this is sometimes making the invisible visible. So when we're talking about what it takes to run a household, there's the element of even knowing what that takes and then dividing those tasks in a way that suits you and your household.
So to create a lot of visibility, the very first thing in this tank is really looking at a calendar system and ensuring that we both know where we are at kind of any one time. We know what's on for the week, and we know who's going to play lead in different areas of this humming household throughout the week.
So I am the calendar keeper in our home. It's my task, my job, my responsibility, my accountability to make sure that every invite that we get that we're saying yes to makes it into our shared calendar ecosystem. So Nath and I also share our personal calendar. So I have my calendar, Nath has his calendar. But if we get invited to say like a wedding or a friend's barbecue or a dinner or whatever the thing is, it's my responsibility that goes into the calendar and Nath gets sent an invite.
Yep.
This system took us quite a long time to really treat as the source of truth. We also have a wall calendar up in our home that we see every day. So we have both the tactile, physical, and then the digital.
Yeah. The wall calendar, though, is really only there for kind of the bigger picture planning. So that kind of maps out all of our long weekends. It kind of maps out some of the big events that we've got on, like weddings and things like that.
Any travel, any public holidays, concert tickets.
Anniversaries, Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
all the big ticket items.
And the repeatable ones like birthdays too. Yeah. And we found having the hybrid of a digital calendar with the nitty gritty, but then a physical calendar for the very top layer or the top level. I'm an incredibly visual person, and that helps me visualize, okay, what's this month looking like? What's this quarter looking like? And this kind of evolved because in our first year of moving from Adelaide to Sydney, we've talked about this in previous episodes that we overcommitted in that year and we were doing way too much travel back and forth from South Australia. And we had a lot of visitors in that first year. And it was very easy for us to say, oh, yeah, I've looked in the calendar and that weekend's free. You're welcome to come and stay. Or yes, we would love to go to that. But we were lacking the big picture view, the ability to go, hold on a second, we've committed ourselves well and truly for 7 out of the next 8 weekends. And is that what we really want?
So that's really what the wall calendar helps us with. It's that big picture planning to see what are the key items that we've got mapped out for the next few weeks and for the rest of the year, I guess, as well. And when are we going to take some time to slow down a little and have some white space in the calendar?
Yes. So this step is very much part of our annual planning process. And every year we buy the same annual wall calendar from Kiki K, #not sponsored. But if they want to sponsor us, I would love that.
Yeah.
We order it in late October, early November, get it laminated, and it's up on the wall. Like ours will go up next weekend, first weekend of December for next year. And it will be populated with all of those big things so that there is transparency and visibility for both of us on what we're committed to, what's going on in our lives. So social commitments we had to talk about first because that's something that we all experience. But another thing that we all experience in having a smooth, running, humming household is paying bills. A necessary evil.
It definitely is. So the system that we've got around paying our bills and our financial setup has been an evolution over time as well. So one of the challenges that we have experienced over our, I guess, working careers and the different jobs that we've both had over that time is inconsistencies in pay and pay cycles and things like that.
And I still freelance. I still have a business. I still have a job. So my income is not fixed. It's not predictable. It's not repeatable.
Yeah.
It varies from month to month, quarter to quarter, and that can bring challenges.
Yeah, definitely. And I also get paid monthly. So it obviously means that we need to really kind of stringently budget week to week and things like that. So we are absolutely big fans of Scott Pape, who's the Barefoot Investor. So if you haven't read that book, I would highly recommend. It's a great read, and I'm sure you'll pull a few little gold nuggets out of it, even if you don't kind of implement the whole strategy that he's got. But for us, we had a similar system, but he just kind of helped us refine it. So what we kind of do is make artificial paydays. so that every week we get money paid into our certain accounts, and then all of our bills are basically direct debited out of one of those accounts.
Yeah, and this came again from experience of knowing like roughly how much our electricity bill was going to be for a year, or our water or gas or phone bill or internet or Netflix or Spotify or any of those very much repeatable bills. But we've got a lot of our repeatable purchases that might not be bills, such as like dog food, down to a pretty close art. We know roughly how much we're going to spend in a year, how many times we're going to get the car serviced, when is rego due, all of those things. And that comes down to a weekly amount for us.
Yeah. I went real anal on this when I first started, and I went like and kind of mapped all of this out and was checking our bills account like monthly and like reconciling all the transactions and all sorts of stuff like that. And that was just so much work. And so what I basically did was then just kind of work it out to roughly an annual strategy. We knew that we were going to get the car serviced about once or twice a year, so kind of budget in for that. We knew that there's going to be 4 electricity bills in a year at a rough amount, so just kind of map all those in. And that basically gave us an annual figure of what all of our bills were and what the bills were that were going to be paid out of that account.
Yeah, so asterisk, this is not financial advice. This is proactive planning advice. This is thinking about what system are you going to implement in your household so that you don't have overdue bills, or you aren't continually having conversations about, oh, did you get that bill? Did you pay that? Have we put money aside for that? This is about creating a system that works for you and your household so that you can manage your cash flow of these household type expenses with ease. So this is what works for us. And what we're encouraging is that you figure out something that works for you, that is a proactive way of managing your utilities, your expenses. And implementing a system like this, it might sound like it's going to take a lot of time and it's going to be quite tricky to figure out. But what I would encourage is that you're spending a lot of that time reactively responding every time you get a bill in the mail or into your inbox. You're already deploying that time. So consider taking that time and moving it to be proactive rather than reactive. And I should also say that I said I was the calendar keeper about our social. Nath is the chief financial officer in our home.
Yeah, definitely.
It's his love of Excel spreadsheets that really just solidified his appointment into that role. But that's not to say that I don't have visibility or understanding of our money. We have regular money meetings and we've talked about that on the show before. But this part of this conversation is really about being organized.
Yeah, definitely. So we've chatted about bills and how we kind of manage those, but then we also have kind of our wider financial budgets as well. So we kind of found that if all money just goes into one account, that it's really hard to know whether you're kind of sticking to budget on certain things, how much money you're actually allocating to different types of activities. Like how much are we spending on groceries a week? How much are we spending on fun and
entertainment
and those sorts of
cash.
Yeah. How much are we spending on bills and those sorts of things? So as I mentioned, we very much have implemented something very similar to the Barefoot Investor methodology in our financial ecosystem. And this has really helped us to be able to stick to budget and to make those on-the-spot decisions around whether we want to purchase something or not, whether we really want to have that extra drink, whether we want to do those sorts of things. Because
can we get an Uber home or do we have to catch the bus?
Or are we walking? No, it's not quite that bad. But it gives us the ability to very easily check our accounts, go, yep, we've kind of spent probably more than our allocated.
Oh, at the end of the month, are we going to have more money left or more time left?
Yeah, that's it.
So another big part of having this humming household is about understanding the role that each of you play in making that household go. So Nathan and I have had so many different conversations about what it takes to run this household. And one of the absolute best things that we've done is implemented subscription services. We have so many things in our life that are automated, set and forget, that we do not have to use any mental bandwidth for to keep track of. And it makes our costs very, very predictable. So we have everything from coffee beans, laundry detergent, razors, our fruit and veg, meal kit delivery services, toilet paper, dog food, and almost anything else that you can think of. So what this does for our household is lightens the mental burden.
Yeah, it really minimizes the things that we need to actually purchase week to week or month to month. So a lot of those big ticket items are set and forget. They're locked in. We know what we're getting. And it really does lighten the load financially because we don't need to continually think about our budgets and things like that for the week, but also just from a mental bandwidth perspective too.
Another big thing that we are huge fans of is online grocery delivery. Like that might sound like of course, that's a really basic tip, but something that we've found that works incredibly well for both of us is having one supermarket that we shop from and having that app installed on the phone and both of us logging into the same account from our separate devices. So what that means is at any moment in time when we run out of something from our home, it is that person's responsibility to get it onto the shopping list. And we both have access to that online cart and we both add it straight away. Then we periodically check out of that cart.
And it's so simple now as well. Like most of the apps have barcode scanning ability as well. So you literally just like when you finish something, scan the barcode, automatically adds to your cart and you're done. It makes it so much simpler when you then do go and we basically do it in a monthly rhythm where we do a monthly shop. So every time you open up the app to do the monthly shop, you can see everything that's there that we've scanned over the past few weeks and that needs to be purchased. And then we basically just top it up with other things that we need for the upcoming month.
Yeah, and we've tried this on different rhythms. That's not to say that we don't ever go to the supermarket outside of these timeframes, but this is things that are like more staple pantry kind of items.
And it might not be that we've actually run out yet, but we're getting low. So it might be something like flour or soy sauce or Vegemite.
Peanut butter. That's an every month purchase.
Peanut butter is an every month purchase.
But what this means is it just creates so much visibility for both of us. And there's not like scraps of paper or lists anywhere. It's not anybody's mental responsibility to remember, oh, that's right, the other day Nath asked me to add such and such to the shopping list. Like, no, we both add it. We both have visibility. We both have the ability to add things and see how much the shop is likely to be as well. Some people will rebuttal and go, oh, I don't want to pay the delivery fee. I would challenge you that your time is more valuable than that expense. I think that supermarket delivery is usually less than $15.
Yeah.
And I think about how much I value my time to go from my home, travel to the supermarket, walk around the store, check it out, travel home and unpack it. Like that process end to end, I am more than happy to pay that small service delivery fee to buy back that time. And I always think of it like that. I'm not paying for delivery. I'm buying back my time.
Yeah. And so often, if you are flexible with timing as well, you can get your delivery fee for free or as low as $2 or $3.
So I encourage you, think about what you can set up in your household, in your life that is set and forget. You do it once, you manage the account, and it just comes.
So the final major aspect of this humming household tank that we want to touch on is really around the management of household tasks. So Sammy and I have had a number of different systems over the years for trying to manage these. I think when we first got together, it was very much just there was no system.
There was no system.
Whoever saw something or got sick of something first, like the dishes or the floors or whatever that needed doing, whoever got sick of it first basically did it, I think.
It was basically just whoever can tolerate the mess the longest does the least amount of housework.
Yeah, pretty much. So that wasn't sustainable, let's just say
that was not working.
So we tried to find a better way. So, I mean, one of the first things that we really did was actually just have a discussion about what things we enjoyed and what things we didn't enjoy. So, I mean, doing the dishes at the house that we were in at the time, we didn't have a dishwasher, and neither of us liked it, but Sammi just detested doing the dishes. So
I hate doing the dishes
yeah.
in the sink so much.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's like a sensory issue for me about like touching slimy things. I hate it. I hate it so much. Ugh, it's like making my skin crawl thinking about it.
Whereas I was a dishy in my night job, let's say. And so it wasn't such a big deal for me. I didn't enjoy it, but that was basically one of my jobs, was to do the dishes until we got a dishwasher, when it was still my job to pack the dishwasher and things like that.
Now that's my job.
Yeah, now
we've swapped now, and
yeah.
I take full ownership of that dishwasher.
Yeah, that's it. But whereas one of the things that I did enjoy doing was vacuuming the floors. So that was always my job, and that was one thing that has kind of stuck with me for a while.
Yeah, so we kind of went through that iteration of like having very task-specific responsibilities, like that's your job, that's my job. But there were still quite a few things that were not visible. And we've done quite a few episodes where we've talked to guests about like the mental load of running a household, because there really are so many tasks that are not overly visible. So yes, Nath might cook dinner, but it was me who planned the menu and acquired the groceries. And those parts of that task are not visible. And this is definitely a conversation that has progressed a lot, particularly in our relationship over the last 2 or 3 years, more so since Nath's been working from home more. Because there were things that I used to just do because I was at home more frequently. Things like going and collecting the post office parcels.
And often doing the washing as well, because you're able to pop a load on during the middle of the workday and stuff like that.
And then hang it out when I was done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so over the last, I would say about a year ago, I read a book called Fair Play by Eve Rodsky. And I can't advocate for reading this book enough. But basically, this wonderful woman was a project manager in her previous life. And then she went on to have some kids with her partner and realized that, hold on a second, the way that we're running our household isn't working. What if I went about solving this problem of this invisible workload by somehow making it visible? And she talks about this idea of CPE, which is to conceive, plan, and then execute. So from that book, she then went on to develop a deck of cards, which is around about 100 cards in the deck, and each one of those cards represents a household task. So I've got mine in front of me at the moment. So some of them are tasks that are high level, some of them are like daily grind type tasks, and some of them are like necessary evils, like cleaning. So the idea being that you go through the deck and you remove anything that doesn't apply to you and your household. So there's a lot of things in there, like for Nathan and I, that relate to kids and having kids, managing them and their network and their needs. So we were able to remove quite a few cards.
Yep.
But on first instance, we just went through the cards and took a look at who was currently responsible for these things.
Yep.
And it really did bring a lot to light over how much we were doing. So currently we are running this Eve Rodsky Fair Play system where we each have a handful of cards, more than a handful, a couple handfuls.
Yeah, a couple handfuls.
Of cards each. And then we reallocate the cards that are heavy regularly.
Yeah, we do.
So one of the ones that is least favorite task in our household is doing laundry. Washing, hanging out and drying, folding, putting away, that whole process is something that both Nath and I love to avoid.
Yeah, it is. And so the system that we've come up with for that one is that we basically alternate. So I'll do it one week and Sammi will do it the next. So we swap cards every week. But then what we've also done is we've actually traded that with the bins, so taking out the bins and managing the rubbish. So we basically swap cards every week between bins and the laundry. That way we're reducing the load on both of us.
for the tasks that are yuckiest for us.
Yeah,
in your
that's
house,
it.
it could be something totally different. But to preface that also, in our house rules of this system, it's also the person who has that card. So I might have the laundry card. It's my responsibility to hand it to Nathan empty. So it's not fair for me to hand the card back to Nathan for laundry if the hamper is overflowing
And
with
the
dirty
washing machine's still full, and there's a whole heap of clean clothes that haven't been
folded
and put away.
It needs to be done through to execution.
Yeah.
So for us, this has been something that's working really well. I'm not sure that we will need to stick with the framework or the structure for forever, because it really did help highlight how much we were both doing. And there were things that I definitely was underappreciating that Nath was doing, like things like the overall financial management. Yes, I was across like our week to week, sort of month to month, but like the big picture money, like was definitely something that Nath was taking far more responsibility of than I was. I think we also really realized like how much goes into having a humming household.
Yeah, definitely. And this is definitely not about trying to make things 100% even, because I don't think you're ever going to get to that point unless you really micromanage every task and work out how much over a year effort you're putting in and all sorts of stuff like that. It's you're never going to get to that point.
And I don't want to.
Not about.
I don't want us to live in a transactional relationship.
No, absolutely not.
I want us to live in a home and a relationship where we are co-creating this experience.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trading you. Oh yeah, I'll make the bed if you clean the mirror, like that sort of stuff. I don't want it that exchange. I'm happy for us to share the load for tasks that we both equally hate and swap back and forth.
Yeah.
But I don't want our whole household to be built on this idea of everything having to be perfectly equal, cut down the middle.
No, definitely not. And I think one of the beauties about this system is that it's made its way into our weekly check-in chats. And so if Sammy's got a really big week up ahead of her for whatever reason it might be, we can then look at the cards and go, well, it's not going to make sense for you to try and fit in these 3 household tasks during this week. So why don't I take those off your hands and I'll run with them for this week. And then we can renegotiate next week around, maybe I've got a bigger week or something like that. And so we can then renegotiate who's doing what tasks. But it's really about who's playing lead on those tasks for that week.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest sayings is like, if everybody is accountable, then nobody is accountable. And that's what was happening for some things in our house and in our home life, was that neither of us really felt like that was our job. So therefore it wasn't happening, or the one person who couldn't handle it not being done would end up picking it up. And that wasn't necessarily always like reasonable. So I feel like even having these conversations about the invisible tasks that exist in our home really changed the way that we see each other and our contribution to running this household. So Eve Rodsky and the fair play granular sort of thing might not be for you, but what this is really about is creating a system and a process that works for you, so that neither of you end up carrying more than you're comfortable carrying, or in an environment where you're creating opportunities for resentment to kick in. And I think one of the trade-offs of having conversations that might be a little bit uncomfortable about workload within your home is that it frees up time, energy, and sometimes even money to reinvest back into your romantic relationship. That's what this whole show is about creating intentionality around dating yourself and your chosen person for forever. So if you can cut time down on how much time, money, and energy it's costing you to run your household, you can reinvest it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the big things here too is that when you look at these tasks or anything we've really talked about in this episode, you can outsource these things as well. So if you're not a financial person and you really don't like money or don't even know where to start with it, then maybe just get some external help around that. See a financial advisor or something like that, just to help with these humming household type tasks. Or if you really hate cleaning your house, maybe it's time to get a cleaner involved.
Yeah, and the same for all of the bigger stuff too. Like if you want someone to come in and help you organize your home, you can pay someone to do that. You can get help in the areas that you struggle. Like even if it's not even about the ongoing help, but the support to set up a system within your home to do these kinds of things. Like guaranteed that when we feel like it's a good financial investment for both Nath and I, we will be outsourcing our laundry. 100%. I hate that task, and I will one day buy back my time to not have to do it.
That's it.
And I know I'm saying that from a place of privilege, but it's also a place of aspiration. It's something that I don't want to do for the rest of my life. So what do I need to do in my career and business so that I don't have to do laundry anymore?
Life goals. Amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had other guests and experts on the show too who have talked about this idea that if there is a pain point in your relationship, if there is a household task that you fight about a lot, whether or not it's, I'm going to use a very gendered example, but a wife nagging a husband to fix something that is broken for weeks on end, like remove the strain on your relationship and pay someone to fix it. Like, is the money or the not spending that money really worth staying in that conflict or staying in that resentment? And that could be about anything. I could use any other, less gendered example, but if there's things that you fight about and you both hate doing, find another solution. Find another way. Can you do a value exchange with someone? Like if you really love cooking, can you cook for someone who then comes and cleans for you? Like there's other ways to solve problems than just outwardly paying for things too.
Yeah.
So you can get creative and get resourceful about the things that you don't love.
So really everything we've talked about in this episode comes down to this concept of eliminate, automate, or delegate. So it's really about what are the household tasks that we don't actually need to be doing and why are we doing some of these things maybe? So that's the elimination side of things. The automation is all of the automatic subscriptions and everything like that.
Direct debits on your bills.
Yep. And then the final one is delegate. So that's...
Who else could do this?
Who else could do it? And if no one else, then it's us. Or if we choose to at this point in time do it ourselves, then we're delegating to ourselves. Yeah,
or between us too, that I'm going to delegate this to you and you're going to delegate this to me, and having a meaningful conversation about, are we okay with that? Are we comfortable with that? Are we happy to take ownership of this? So when you have a beautifully humming household, it should be smooth. Not all of the time, but most of the time. And it will allow you to free up that beautiful time, money, and energy for other tanks in your life. So like any of these tanks in the Fueled Up Life, we're inviting you to be proactive about how you choose to do life.
So to say thank you for listening today, we've given a year's worth of seeds to help a family grow nourishing food in Malawi. So this project is run by Every Home Global Concern and is possible via our partnership with Buy One, Give One. So thank you so much for listening. Thanks heaps for joining us. If you love what we're doing here and want more, subscribe to the Date Forever podcast to make sure you never miss an ep. Come and hang out with us and other awesome couples who are fueling up their relationships in the Thriving Couples Collective Facebook group, or check us out at fuelcollective.com.au. Until next time, keep on dating, because better relationships equal a better world.